Welcome to the FX Options Weekly Outlook, a weekly podcast series hosted by Jason Ayres, a top instructor, trader, and founder of OptionSource.net. Join Jason as he discusses the latest trends in the Forex market with a look ahead on the US dollar versus the major currencies using the most commonly used technical indicators.
Well, hi there and welcome to the ISE FX Options Weekly Outlook for October 17th, 2010. As always, this is Jason Ayres of OptionSource.net. Let's start off with a look at a weekly chart of the US dollar index. This is a great way to gain perspective as to how the US dollar has been trading against a basket of currencies. Well, the dollar index showed some indecision this week after testing as high as 78 and as low as 76. We saw the index close at approximately 77. Now, a rally off of these lows suggests a possible retracement may be lining up, bringing the 78-79 focal zone into the picture as an upside target. Now, failure to hold above 77 opens the window for a continuation lower towards the 74-75 box. A quick look at a daily snapshot reflects a near-term upside target of 78.5. Let's take a look at the CDD, the U.S. versus the Canadian dollar. Well, the U.S. dollar dipped as low as par last week against the Canadian dollar. This 100-101 level should provide strong support this week. While the immediate trend line suggests down, should the pair hold the 101 level, we will be targeting the 102-103 box to the upside. A continuation lower could touch as low as 98. Let's take a look at the YUK, the U.S. versus the Japanese yen. Well, we had the 80.5, 81 as support for the U.S. dollar against the yen. Now, a bounce here could test 82, 83 this week. However, continued weakness brings the 78, 79 box into the picture as the next major support level. Next up, the EUI, the U.S. versus the Euro. Well, the dollar attempted an early in the week rally against the Euro and subsequently dipped lower. However, the 71.5, 72 focal zone remains a clear support level. Now, a break above 72 should yield a retracement towards 74. However, a failure to hold this level at the 71.5 focal zone here opens the window for a test of 69.70. Let's take a look at the BPX, the U.S. versus the British pound. Well, the 62.5, 63 level still holds as support for the U.S. dollar against the pound. A bounce should test 64. However, failure to hold 62.5 is likely to trend down into the 60-61 box. Let's take a look at the U.S. versus the Australian dollar as seen here in the ISE FX options pair value AUX. Well, the 100-101 level held as support for the U.S. dollar against the Australian dollar. While the trend in force remains to the downside, a retracement could test as high as 103. A drop below 100 brings the 96-97 box into the picture as the next major support. Let's take a look at a few of our key points. First of all, the U.S. dollar index seems to have found some short-term support at 76.77 as anticipated. A bounce should test 78, however, the trend remains to the downside in the bigger picture. The CDD slipped as low as 100 and bounced. A break above 101 should yield a test of 102-103 for resistance. The YUK tested 80.5, 81 for support. A retracement should target 82, 83. However, failure to hold support opens the window for a continuation down into our 78, 79 level. The EUI continues to drop but showed some signs of a reversal last Friday. A break above 72 opens the window for a move towards 74. The BPX held support at 62.5, 63, opening the window for a bounce towards 64. Failure to hold 62.5, 63 suggests a probable drop to 60, 61. The AUX continues to trend to the downside. As with last week, 100, 100.5 is a key support level. A break above 101 should signal a retracement higher. And this has been your ISE FX Options Weekly Outlook for October 17th, 2010. As always, I'm Jason Ayres of OptionSource.net. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you here next week.
Thank you for participating in this week's session. Please join us again next week. For trading ideas, exchange rates, webinars, news, and commentary, visit www.fxoptions.com. Become an OptionSource.net member. Visit www.optionsource.net. ISE FX options can be easily traded through all options-enabled brokerage accounts. These exchange-listed securities are cash settled in U.S. dollars and have a European-style exercise.